Hey guys, it's Animaltons here, and I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Couple quick announcements before we start the video. One, I'm sorry if this video seems like this series should have gone on longer, but I was trying to finish it so that next week I can start 2 new series. And as compensation, I will put a poll on this video so you guys get to pick the series that replaces this one. The series that's coming out on Tuesday, I've already picked that one. I guess you'll know when it comes out. But yeah, so I'll put up a couple options on this video, because it's one of the last days we can actually do polls. But yeah, and secondly, goes up to What If Night 310, he does what ifs. But yeah, so without further ado, roll the intro. One day later, the tower. Team 7 were waking up. They had arrived at the tower yesterday, just before Gar's team. Naruto had walked out of his room and was walking towards the lounge when he saw Anko talking to Kakashi, but Kakashi wasn't listening. Naruto smiled sadistically as he sauntered over as unobtrusively as possible to where they were talking. In one fluid motion, Naruto had pulled Kakashi's mask down and pushed him forward. The result was a shocked Kakashi kissing Anko for a few seconds before he recovered and pulled his mask back over his face. Anko was blushing, and Kakashi was fuming at Naruto. "How could you?" Kakashi asked, giving off a sense of feeling betrayed. "You'll thank me later, Kakashi-sensei. Oh, and Anko, Kakashi will meet you at 5 o'clock sharp to go out in 2 weeks," Naruto said before sauntering off. "Okay then. I'll see you then," Anko said before leaving. On the inside, Kakashi was extremely grateful towards Naruto. He'd been trying to seem like he didn't care, but he still wanted to go. But in the end, he ended up completely ignoring Anko. Naruto had saved him from a more embarrassing scene later. Naruto then walked over to one of the couches and sat down, and started reading Ichi-Icha. A shadow then appeared above him, and he looked up to see Gaara. Temari and Kankuro were standing a little ways away. "Uzumaki, you will prove my existence," Gaara said. Naruto got up and hooked his arm around Gaara's shoulder, placing the first book to Ichi-Icha in Gaara's hands. Temari and Kankuro then looked on incredulously as this could have touched Gaara. Naruto then sat Gaara down in a chair as he opened up the book and started reading. After 3 hours, Gaara was done reading the first book. "Hey Gaara," Naruto said, sitting up again. "I want you to try and imagine the Ichi-Icha book in Shikaku's prison, but larger so you can read it." "What will that do?" "Well, hopefully that should shut him up, but you have to make a deal. You'll give him the book, but he has to let you sleep," Naruto explained. Gaara did what Naruto said, and when he opened his eyes again, he said, "He shut up." Gaara said, "Nah." "Yes, he did," Naruto said. "From the information I've gathered, the tailed beasts like reading Ichi-Icha, and thus is the power of the Ichi-Icha series. Now lie down and get some sleep. When you wake up, I'll give you the next book." Temari and Kankuro had then started forward to stop Gaara from sleeping, but before they could, Gaara was already passed out on the couch, snoring quietly. "You guys got it from here?" Naruto said, winking at Temari, making her blush, before he walked back to his own couch and sat down and started reading. 4 days later, the preliminaries. Most of the matchups were the same, except Gaara was facing Yoroi, the one Sasuke fought, and Lee is facing Kiba, Sasuke is facing Shino, and Naruto is facing Zaku without broken arms, since Sasuke never broke his arms. Gaara's fight. Gaara was walking towards the stairs when Naruto said something to him without taking his eyes off his book. If he wants your chakra, then give it to him." Gaara smiled slightly, getting what Naruto was saying, and walked into the ring. He stared at Yoroi for a few seconds before pulling out the Ichi-Icha book again and continued reading. "Begin," Hayate called. Yoroi immediately charged forward. The sand didn't come out of the gorge to stop him. When he got to Gaara and grabbed his forehead, the sand kept Gaara up straight. For a few seconds, Yoroi started siphoning off Gaara's chakra, but then he began to scream. He stumbled back, but he couldn't take his hands off Gaara's forehead. After a minute, Yoroi collapsed on the ground, dead. "Thanks for the advice, Naruto," Gaara said as he walked back up to the stand, still reading. He almost walked into a wall, but the sand corrected his direction. Kiba vs. Lee was completely one-sided in Lee's favor. Sasuke vs. Shino ended in a tie, with Shino siphoning after Sasuke's chakra and Sasuke pounding Shino with taijutsu. Naruto vs. Zaku. Begin, Aite called. Zaku immediately started talking trash about Naruto, and how all Leaf Shinobi were weak. Zaku then fired off a sound wave at Naruto, but Naruto dodged, but his book was still torn in half. The paper flooding down like leaves. Everyone could see that Naruto was visibly angry. Well, Zaku's dead, Sasuke said. Why is that? Kankuro asked. He and Temari had joined Gaara on the other side of the stadium with the rest of the Leaf contestants. Well, Sasuke began, when someone threatens something Naruto considers precious, be that the Ichibuck or the entire village, he will protect it with his life. And anyone who harms it would most likely die or be paralyzed for the rest of their life. After Sasuke had finished speaking, everyone felt an intense killing intent rolling off Naruto. What shocked everyone is that it wasn't directed at them, yet they could still feel it. Zaku, on the other hand, couldn't breathe. He was frozen, and his brains couldn't comprehend anything other than intense fear. He collapsed to his knees. His eyesight was dimming. He could barely see anything. Then, he collapsed to the floor, unconscious. Naruto picked him up and flickered toward the Hokage was, whispering something in his ear. Hiruzen nodded, and Naruto disappeared in a swirl of leaves, and reappeared once all the fights were over. Okay, everyone, you have 1 month to train to the finals. So train and learn new techniques to impress all the audience in the finals. Dismissed, Ayate said. Okay, Kit, Kurama said. I'm going to show you how to use the adamantine chains and something else, but first, we need to go and find your godfather. 1 month later, the finals. This time, Orochimaru didn't kill the Kazekage because the Leaf and the Sand are a lot closer as allies. The finals went mostly the same in the original, up until the finals, where Naruto was facing Gaara. During the 1 month time skip, Naruto had learned to use his adamantine chains extremely well, thanks to Kurama having first-hand experience of them being used on him. His hair had grown longer, making it bangs of hair framing his face. He looked exactly like Minato, except with red hair. When the finals were about to start, a part of the wall exploded. When the smoke cleared, there were 4-tailed beasts: Gyuki, Matatabi, Kokuo, and Son Goku. Naruto and Gaara looked over to the Kage booth, where both Raza and Hiruzen nodded. Naruto and Gaara then raced off towards the wall. Ibiki had found out about the invasion from Zaku before Zaku had died. They had then evacuated all the citizens to the rooms behind the Hokage monument. Raza then brought up some shinobi from the sand to help Konoha. Naruto and Gaara got to the walls, and standing on the rubble were a lot of Iwa and Kumo shinobi. At the forefront of the crowd was the Raikage, Inoki, and Orochimaru. When Naruto arrived there was one family that hadn't been able to escape. The rest of the Leaf and Sand shinobi, including Hiruzen, arrived a couple minutes later, but they were on the opposite side of the clearing. Give up, Hiruzen, A called arrogantly. Naruto and Gaara were hiding behind one of the buildings, waiting for the perfect chance to attack. Then Naruto recognized who the people were. The man had owned a shop that had lost some business, not much, but a little, when the Ninetales attacked. He had hated Naruto with a passion and kicked him out of all of his shops, and he had even led some of the mobs attacking Naruto. When Hiruzen didn't say anything, A signaled from Matatabi to prepare a tailed beast, which was shot at the family. Then, when the explosion cleared, a huge claw swiped through the smoke, pushing it to the side. It's the Ninetales! One of the Konoha shinobi shouted. Kurama was a lot bigger, almost as big as he was before the fourth ripped out his yin half. Naruto had been feeding Kurama his chakra, growing him to this size. Kurama then turned to the family beneath him. Well, don't just stand there. Get behind the lines, he said. And with that, the family ran back towards the shinobi. Okay, Naruto, which one do you want? Kurama said, as Naruto, who was standing on top of his head. Well, I think I'll take Son Goku, Naruto said casually, as if he was picking out a flavor of ice cream. He's gonna take on a tailed beast, and Kurama's not evil, apparently? Everyone was thinking incredulously. The Raikage, A, and Inoki had started to backtrack, seeing that this was a bad idea. They didn't know that the Leaf Jinchuriki could manifest Kyuubi, the strongest of the the tailed beasts. Okay, that leaves the Gyuki and Matatabi for me, Oh, and Shikaku. I'll take back what I said about Tails' ranking power if you take out Kokuo, Kurama said to the rising pile of sand. When Shikaku had finished forming, his eyes lit up. Okay, you got yourself a deal, it said. Then Naruto noticed something. A store was destroyed. But wasn't that the... No! Naruto shouted. The bookstore! Everyone immediately sweat dropped at the fact that this kid cared about a bookstore. Then Sasuke and a couple other people realized what the bookstore was about. Kurama instantly recognized what was happening. His tail started swishing, causing all the shinobi on both sides to take a step back. What? Shikaki asked. All the Ichicha books were destroyed. And they destroyed them! Kurama roared. You're all dead! Shikaki screeched in his high-toned voice as he launched a tail beast bomb at Kokuo. It just nicked it, but it still did some damage. Naruto then jumped off Kurama's head and sat on the ground and formed the snake hand sign. Some gold chain shot out of his back into the ground. After a couple of seconds, they burst out of the ground right below Son Goku. They then wrapped around him, immobilizing him, and started draining his chakra. A few shinobi tried breaking the chains, but as soon as the weapons came into contact, they died from the immense chakra passing through their chains. As this was happening, Kurama disappeared and reappeared behind Gyuki and Matatabi using immense speed, and he slammed both of them to the ground, knocking some of Gyuki's teeth out. He then grabbed one of Gyuki's horns, snapping it off, and then threw it away. He then picked them up and held them both in front of him. Behold, the Kyuubi, protector of Konoha, the strongest Biju, partner of the last Uzumaki, son of the fourth and the Red Death. Cower and flee, Kurama said, and he started forming a tailed beast bomb. It was at that moment that Akatsuki decided to show up. All of them, except for Obito and Pain, were quickly silenced by the ready-made tailed beast bomb. All Kurama had to do was drop the two tailed beasts he was holding, appear right behind them, and slam the ball down. Kurama turned to the other tailed beasts. Either you help us destroy these people, or you'll find yourself in a whole lot of pain. There was a lot of muttering of yes from the other tailed beasts, and then the tailed beasts referred to their version 2 states with the Jinchuriki. The Jinchuriki were losing the fight until Sasuke shouted out, They burned all the Ichicha, not just the ones in the bookstore! As good as Obito and Pain were, when Jinchuriki are powered by range, your chances are zero. And the fact that two tailed beasts and the Jinchuriki were powered by rage was a complete wash for the Jinchuriki. 2 months later, all of the Iwa and Kumon had practically rushed to form alliance with Konoha after this demonstration of strength. The fact that the Kyuubi could take on the second strongest tailed beast simultaneously while fighting another tailed beast was reason enough for a treaty, even if they hated the fourth. On top of that, the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed tails could take out an entire Biju by himself, without the Kyuubi. Hiruzen was injured after the fight with Orochimaru, but he did not make the same mistakes that he did when he first fought Orochimaru. He killed him. Jiraiya was then dispatched to go and get Tsunade, which he completed successfully, and when she returned after healing Hiruzen, she started to train Sakura. Present time. Naruto was walking back home, who had just been released from the hospital earlier that day. So far, he didn't think his day could get any better. So far that day, he had just broken up with Tenten, air quotes, even though they were never really together in the first place. But Neji didn't need to know that. He just needed a slight push. Now he was practically begging to go out with Tenten, though there was no hard feeling between Naruto and Neji. He'd also somehow managed to make Tsunade agree to go on a date with Jiraiya. Jiraiya didn't know how, but Naruto had bribed Tsunade with a bet, and as normal, she lost. But that wasn't even the end. He'd also given a scroll to Asuma stating that unless Asuma told Kurenai how he felt, he would probably never see her again as she was leaving. Asuma had rushed around in mad frenzy to find Kurenai, while Naruto was laughing his head off in his hospital bed when the clone dispersed. Lastly, he'd also convinced Sasuke to stay in Konoha. Flashback. Naruto was lying in his bed, reading, when Sasuke walked in, saying he needed to leave to get stronger. Why? Naruto asked. Why do you need to leave to get strong? Let me explain. How did the Hokages get strong? By staying in the village, Sasuke muttered. How did all the Sannin get strong? By staying in the village, Sasuke said, seeing where this was going. How did Itachi get strong? Naruto said, hitting a nerve. By staying in the village. Okay, I'll stay in the village. But that's not it, Sasuke. To become strong, you must have something weird about you. Look at all this Sani. Dry is a pervert. Tsunade is an alcoholic and a gambler with a huge losing streak, and that earned her the name, or moniker, the legendary sucker. And Orochimaru as well, you know what I mean. Well, you can start off by reading Ichi-Ichi, and then you can drop it off. You can drop it when you find your own personal quirk, if you find your personal quirk and it's not already the Ichi-Ichi books. But that's a topic for later. As Sasuke was leaving, Naruto was thinking, yes, building the Ichi army, one person at a time. End flashback. Naruto had arrived home and opened the door, but as soon as he opened it, Naruto was pulled inside by Sasuke, and Jiraiya shut the door. Then Naruto noticed most of the Konoha 12 were there, along with their senseis. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Anko, and Hiruzen were also there. Hiruzen was sitting on the couch reading Ichi-Ichi. When they then proceeded to dress Naruto up, and when he was done, they told him he should go to the Spring Hotel and wait for Temari. Why? Naruto asked. Well, you helped us, so now it's payback. I mean, time to help you, Neji said, wearing a sadistic expression. Oh, Naruto, Hiruzen said. Tomorrow you're going to be announced as my successor, so when you turn 16, that means you are also the head of the Uzumaki clan for now. So unless you are engaged, you will be forced into marriage, and because Sasuke, and by extension us, we know that you like Temari, we were simply helping speed things up. 2 years later, Naruto was walking towards the door. It was his first council meeting, and it would be something that he would remember. He'd stayed up all night yesterday, studying with Hiruzen on how much the council could be a pain, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it. The civilian council held too much power over shinobi laws and that stuff. They'd been a pain on all the Hokage's side since Tobirama created the civilian council. Naruto then walked through the doors and sat down. Okay, first order of business. We need to talk about the clans, one of the civilian council members said. Actually, no, Naruto said. The first order of business is that the civilian council is now stripped of all power concerning all things shinobi. And because it's a shinobi village, that means almost everything. You will act as advisors to me about how to run this village. The civilian council had an uproar. Hiruzen never did anything like this, one of the council members said. That's because I am not Hiruzen, and you will refer to him as Lord Third. You no longer have enough power to do anything unless it is through a vote. Besides, this is a shinobi village, and you should be thankful to live under his protection. Second order of business. Danzo Shimura, you are under arrest for treason against the previous Hokage and endangerment for the village. This time, the room was deadly quiet. Let me explain. You undermined Lord Third by defying a direct order from him to shut down the Root organization. Second, you sabotaged the effort to stop the Uchiha from revolting by stealing Shizui's eye, and then proceed to order Itachi to exterminate the Uchiha clan. So their downfall was your mistake. While Naruto had been talking, Danzo had managed to free his arm. He suddenly stood up and revealed all his Sharingan, including the one in his head. You will obey me, he said to Naruto. Actually, no I won't, Naruto said. Anbu, remove the Sharingan and send him to Ibiki. And tell Ibiki, no handicaps. By the way, Danzo, the moment you sat down, the shields in the chair covered you, sealing your chakra and your Sharingan. The arm in the corners of the room quickly removed Danzo's Sharingan arm and Shizui's eye. They then disappeared with him. Now, last order of business. The Academy standards, Naruto said.